The United States Air Force is never still modernizing their fleet and supporting the majority of what they're capable of up to stays hidden from our view common folks. But occasionally we're fortunate enough to be able to see a preview of the amazing developments that they're working on, similar to the recent revelations. These sailors made in accordance the sailors saw an enigmatic U.S. aircraft that had been concealed. And now individuals are inquiring and posing queries, and this we're going to explore our knowledge. Welcome to WARPSPEED. Please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for help us to grow and more amazing content delivered. Concerning this mysterious aircraft that had a very own conversing, we'll reveal the characteristics that distinguish it from the recognized individuals in the U.S. Air Force inventory and the consequences of observing a plane such as this. Join USA's. We expose the reality regarding the U.S. unidentified aircraft that was observed by occasionally sailors cross the Pacific Ocean, and then some individuals discover strange events connected to top-secret military installations. This is the result of a fishing crew traveling across the enormous Pacific, seeing the ocean while traveling to Vancouver. Something above them, this thing they stated was peculiar and didn't quite match the shape of a standard aircraft, moved differently from a typical plane, and at one point it just disappeared into thin naturally. The fishermen shared their amazing online encounter that caused there was such a buzz that it got to even the Pentagon began to experience some feeling uneasy. They quickly replied and said the fishermen saw an American drone testing for aerodynamics. That explanation appeared plausible, but it was hardly as it happened. Nobody was purchasing it. The leak by the military was unsubstantial rather than a well-planned break from something much more fascinating they would been working on covertly for a while time. It was actually the actual airplane that had been put through testing throughout the Pacific Ocean, and it possessed the remarkable capacity for becoming unseen not only by radars but also by unaided vision. More than 20 years prior, the X-44 Manta was one of the many initiatives brewing inside the U.S. Air Force as a revolutionary combat stealth aircraft. When it first appeared, it was far ahead of within its era and attracted everyone's interest. Was a fact that it lacked a tail. That most insiders were shocked by removing the X-44's tail section, markedly decreased radar return, making a fighter that is even more stealthy than America's extremely powerful F-22. Beyond that incredible feat, the Pentagon was also amazed by Martin engineers. With the remarkable qualities of the aircraft, a Manta's original purpose was turned out that subsonic was surprisingly quick acceleration to Mach 1 in just 7 seconds. This attribute captured the developers' focus, who made the decision to go even farther. They outfitted the planes to ascend up to 12 miles in height, enabling it to perform scanning large regions with its excellent precision radars, as well as a truly amazing plan such as this required some outstanding. They also added ultra-fast weapons, bombs with movable heads, and hypersonic missiles. The mixture, the X-44, was marketed as a cutting-edge development of the legendary F-22 Raptor fighter, with 6 different versions at once. Lockheed Martin was offered to the Air Force. Had joined forces with NASA to investigate the idea for developing a fighter with agility that is not dependent on its tail. For this idea of control mainly depends on thrust vector controls to alter the flight path of the fighter. NASA has already accomplished incredible achievement with thrust vector controls on the F-15 active, which functioned as adapted F-15 Eagle. They removed the canards on the front wings of anthrust and matched them with the FA-18 Hornet jet nozzles that are vectored, producing a fighter who surpassed the renowned Eagle in numerous aspects. The thrust vector control here can either point aim the nozzle of the jet engine in various directions on certain jets, such as the F-22. The nozzle of the Raptor can move up or down. Conversely, a single jet in the jet, similar to Russia's Su-35 4th generation, the nozzle has 360 degrees of movement, presenting even more striking alternatives for abruptly reversing course during a direct interaction. It's this ability which provides fighters such as the F-22 and the advantage in terms of agility is Su-35. Able to change course much more forcefully than advanced jets. In absence of effector controls for thrust, Lockheed Martin's strategy was no fascinating. Rather than beginning with using the F-22, they chose to start over. The design of Raptor serving as a basis for even their technology, demonstrator even though the Joint Strike Fighter F-35 had started doing test flights 3 years before. The F-22 was still regarded as America's finest and most proficient combatant when it came to combating enemy aircraft, in part because its vector control thrust simultaneously. There was another, an F-22 based concept is currently under development. Was referred to as the Sea Raptor, but that the goal of X-44 Manta was to level up the F-22 more covered by taking off its tail. The Sea Raptor project planned to station F-22s. These aircraft carriers in America jets could travel farther and faster. Span and transport additional ordnance than the F-35Cs that were meant for carrier duty. F-22 Raptor had already made a name for itself from other combatants by combining stealth being an essential component of its great, whereas earlier fighters with superior air power, much as the F-15, depended on pure performance, followed by the addition of radar-absorbent coatings for the F-22s. Stealth was intended to evade or postpone detection. In Alitz Pratt and Whitney F-119 engine is strong. It could also reach speeds thanks to engines up to Mach 2.25 and the thrust it produced with vector controls. It was able to avoid successfully inbound missiles in 1999. The F-22 was the most advanced capable fighter aircraft with global air superiority. However, the X-44 Manta concept might succeed, enhancing its stealthiness even further with comparable output and increased covertly. It would have changed from Lockheed's prototype for its production sites, but there are additional, rather than merely stealing. The X-44 Manta had an additional benefit over the current fighters that are stealthy in terms of cargo buff range and capacity. Despite the F-22 Raptor's ability to carry A-6 air-to-air weapons at must inside, the Joint Strike Fighter F-35 is restricted to just 4, as opposed to with its wide fuselage. The X-44 would have allowed for the carrying of more ordnance, both interior and exterior of the aircraft payload capacity. An analogous idea was previously studied using the F-16XL, which featured a wide, wedge-shaped fuselage similar to this design, offered superior lift, X-44 range, payload, and fuel capacity compared to the typical F-16 Fighting Falcon. In order to the X-44 Manta was capable of provide a significant increase in both combat capabilities and stealth. Despite innovation in the X-44 Manta project abruptly stopped being active and data began to vanish from the internet. That was really strange. None of the Manta prototypes were acquired by the clearance, but the assertion that NASA was curious about them to test Tilla structures seem a little unrealistic. But following a protracted quiet, random fishermen saw an aircraft that appeared uncannily like the X-44, and it appeared to also have obtained the vanishing actes. It happens, the project was abandoned. In fact, the reverse is Pentagon recognized this as having enormous potential extremely covered fighter and started scrubbing remove all evidence of it prior to potential adversaries might learn of its existence. So despite the impression that the Manta project had disappeared into thin air. Very much alive and well and going through noteworthy advancements. Its idea is currently a recurrent subject in the official images of the upcoming Air Force NGAD's Air Superiority Fighter, the Next Generation Air Domination Initiative. The U.S. Air Force shocked the world in 2022 by declaring they had created, constructed, and evaluated a test aircraft as part of the NGAD scheme. This new aircraft will soon be more superior to any fighter that came before it. The goal is not merely to follow the rules, using the sophisticated fifth-generation combatants manufactured by America's rivals similar to China and Russia, but to rule them for many years. To return to the same when the Air Force released a picture honoring a turning point that shows aircraft shaped like a wedge without a traditional tail section, which resulted in some question if the artist's creations had any in relation to the NGAD declaration that matched it afterwards. Both official Air Force pictures and sketches from well-known Lockheed Martin and other aviation companies have regularly portrayed comparable wood-shaped aircraft. According to some, considering Northrop's capable Boeing F-23 Black Widow II was disregarded as a potential forerunner of this, telescreta that's due to the F-23. Commonly referred to as the Black Widow II, was a significant rival to the fabled F-22 Raptor, also called in a competition to develop as the YF-22, the fighter of the future air domination. For the 21st century, the competition's goal was to counter potential the Soviet Union's threats during the F-23, was exceptional in some areas and fulfilled a few more government requirements, unlike the YF-22. It didn't work as well obtain the military contract when the United States first discovered Soviet aircraft models, such as the Su-27, and they observed MiG-29 on satellite imagery. These, as the F-15C's direct rivals, sparked worries about continuing tour supremacy, resulting in the development of the ATF, or Advanced Tactical Fighter Program. Several U.S. airplanes manufacturers fought for this chance. In 1986, Northrop and Lockheed Martin McDonnell Douglas was chosen to create prototypes within a 4-year period framework to protect American aviation. Northrop adopted a creative strategy. It had the YF-23 with its wings shaped like diamonds and a movable shaped tail in place of the conventional vertical stabilizers. This distinctive tail design has a 50-degree tilt potential. Both pitch and yaw from each side. Control while in flight. His design decision even had an impact on the Russian Su-57, even though they kept with less horizontal stabilizer slanted vertical surfaces in contrast to the F-23 Pratt and YF-23 powered. The F-23 Whitney engines enable supersonic travel without using the afterburners. Cruise at this was a crucial element, influencing fuel consumption, range, and speed in a region where difficulties have been faced by Russians. Moreover, the YF-23 was more covered compared to the F-22, adding to its radar signature performance, which it also possessed gun bay in the middle of the lower fuselage as opposed to the F-22, which had two smaller bays. In this design qualities, in addition to its extensive list of details and the possibility for stealth, make it fascinating to investigate why it was not selected as the initial YF-23 prototype, known as the Black Widow II, took off in 1990's paint job in a nearly black, dark gray hue, featuring a red hardglass at the bottom fuselage with a Black Widow-like appearance fighter. But it quickly adopted the gray moniker. By now the Cold War was a ghost diminishing, and there was doubt regarding the necessity of a fifth-generation program as the primary opponents were fading. But one had to move, at least going ahead, because of the noteworthy expenditure for the YF-23 and YF-22, YF-23 prototypes, in spite of their stealth benefits, did not have high agility, which was a vital component in close-quarters fighting dogfights. This was where the YF-22 shone. The choice was made in 1991, and the YF-22 ultimately earned the ATF program victory. The F-22 Raptor's name air combat maneuvers developed into beyond interactions within visual range, but dogfighting was still an option. The agility of the F-22 was considered critical to combat possible dangers, such as agile Russian combat aircraft, like the Su-35 and Su-30. The YF-23 narrative didn't stop there. The Navy was looking for a new stealth aircraft for its sophisticated tactical combat program. Northrop arrived at the naval base with a YF-23 modified version, referred to as DIS variants. F-23 featured various exhaust nozzles for canards, extending wings and improving land-end equipment needed for carrier operations. There have recently been rumors regarding Japan possibly making use of this aircraft's details pertaining to Northrop to additionally develop their advanced fighters. Not all of the players in town are Northrop adept at creating covert fighters, actually lacking tails based on these artistic depictions, and the real difficulties in quickly creating a new combatant The X-44 Manta may very well serve as a prototype for what might turn into a crucial part of America's next fighter aircraft generation following decades of intense combat development. Some components had turned into the standard for a tactical aircraft that can't this featured attributes, such as a traditional tail section that includes both control surfaces that are both vertical and horizontal, whereas the F-22 and subsequently the F-35 wore somewhat distinct tails in contrast to the fourth generation, that is, older combatants. The X-44 Manta sought to accomplish comparable degrees of agility, not depending on conventional tail surfaces. The design of the next generation X-44 for clandestine operations in dangerous areas where it can appear and then vanish, not a trace. In order to do this, it has a special twin engine positioned in the middle of its hull, accelerating it to a remarkable 2,000 miles per hour. It moves so quickly that the SR-71, although Blackbird, can rival it. This new creation is an accomplished combatant. Additionally, it has made big advances in cover technology. At first, Manta's stealth coating was simple. However, since then, it's been improved with advanced skin type known as parallax, which functions as a display as well as a camera. Basically, the aircraft's lower section reflects what the upper portion of it sees, conversely, making the aircraft invisible as those fortunate fishermen saw, but this advanced skin is inadequate regarding the deflection of radar waves intended to identify hostile aircraft. That's where the clever radar of the X-44, when the suppression system activates, not only about repression. Rather, it's about deceit. When a combatant releases, radars can detect reflected waves around it, continue to notice disturbances in space. Therefore, engineers needed to devise a distinct resolution, the complex ways intended to eavesdrop on a radar's frequency disturbance, after which it sends its sound wave passing through at the same frequency the airplane. This clever maneuver produces an illusion transparency to radar, resulting in the nearly imperceptible to both the human eye and detection technologies. Remarkably, there's a rumor report saying the X-44 may not a typical plane, but instead this drone could be somewhat true. The US's history in creating covert combat drones, that extraordinary aptitude of Northrop Grumman X-47B is one such example, a novel multifunctional attack. This isn't just any remote control drone-controlled apparatus because it has a host of unique attributes, whereas the Manta emphasis on opacity. The X-47B was created with flight capability from and arrive at a carrier of aircraft independently. To accomplish this, the designers created a very creative design. The X-47B is the only drone with this feature. Able to fold its wings to ensure optimal compactness is important for carrier operations. First unmanned aerial vehicle, as well outfitted with real artificial intellect. Its built-in computer can manage a variety of offline components, such as landing and cruising and secure landings on carriers, all without intervention by humans. This drone is a major enhancement of the U.S. Navy's capacities and has a powerful punch packed with a 2,200-pound jdam intelligent ammunition, has the power to destroy even the most heavily fortified locations, sending transportable apparatus, traveling with its shockwave chinner, recently grabbed headlines with its asserting to be the creator of the first drone with a carrier. But it turns out they didn't pioneer this particular field. Moreover, China continues to face difficulties. While a drone is mid-air refueling, the U.S. has already begun to address the Boeing MiG-25 Stingray. Has this issue. Is an additional autonomous tanker aircraft created as a component of the U.S. Navy development program, which has an impressive similarity to the X-47B concerning its characteristics. Their top speed is the same, identical flight height and folding wings, but it fulfills a distinct objective. This is not a battle drone, but instead made specifically for frequent cooperation for safe drone refueling using assault drones, such as the X-47B, when the attack drone departs for its objective. And releases its payload onto a hostile target when the MiG-25 comes to refuel it. It allows it to launch once more and deliver an additional formidable strike from the Boeing MiG-25 Stingray, originated in the aerial systems of carriers. The evolving refueling system, programmed from the previous unmanned carrier deployed aerial reconnaissance and strike program, into which it can be divided. The MiG-25 air system's two main components, which consists of the aircraft itself and the aviation mission using an unmanned carrier system of control, which is essential for integrating carriers and managing the MiG-25 aircraft, and its PMA payload 268 is responsible for overseeing these sections. As the head of the government systems integrator from a design perspective, the Rolls-Royce is used in Boeing's MiG-25 turbofan engine AE 3007, producing 10,000 pounds of thrust, making it an engine alternative to the one employed in the navies. While the MiG-25 might not be the MiG-4C Triton, just as silent as flying wing unmanned aerial vehicles possess a covered fuselage that forms a flush inlet to shield engine blades against radar. Along with a unique V-tail in 2021, it debuted impressively by carrying out its initial aerial refueling using the Joint Strike Fighter F-335C. This marked an important turning point because it became the first unmanned system in the Navy conceived to function in a future carrier node group. It's important to remember that the at first E-2 Advanced Hawkeye did not intended for refueling, while in the Air 2019 saw this capability added to modifications. The Navy's tests are indicative of investigation of successfully integrating both human and unmanned aircraft inside the aircraft carrier wing. Aside from testing aerial refueling, the MQ-25 has been interacting with the deck and additional internal testing to get ready for the fleet's introduction. In fact, a prototype was put aboard the U.S. George H. Bush, the Nimitz CVN 772,021 class. Even though the drones have still not having taken off from the carrier, the Navy is attempting to integrate involving logistics, such as transporting them throughout the elevators, and in there regarding the future of this hangar deck. The prototype tanker is anticipated to be placed atop American aircraft carriers by 2026. Even with continuous testing, the MiG-25 displays promise for extending the range of the carrier air wing without the need for a human pilot. These impressive combat drones and top-secret invisible fighters underscore the prowess of American aviation technology. They affirm the country's status as the best of the best, and the U.S. Air Force is getting stronger by the day. Thanks for watching. While you're still here, click on the link appearing on your screen right now to enjoy another of our interesting videos. See you there.